Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype, here on your Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. Now, before we get going into this report, if you're not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner and hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. All right, we're going to start off by taking a look at our current satellite picture here across the nation. A lot of clouds here across the southeast. You know, some thunderstorms there across East Texas here to begin our morning. Got some clouds, some rain up here across portions of Iowa and into Illinois. Northeast not looking too bad, not bad at all. And we are looking at some clouds out here across some of the Intermountain region for this morning on your Wednesday. Now, as far as watches and warnings are concerned, very quiet out there this morning. We're going to probably see some more activity, especially out here across Texas today, as that's where our slight risk zone is. And I'll show you that here in just a second. Just a couple of fog advisories out there across Tennessee and portions of the Carolinas and also down toward the Gulf Coast this morning. Now, as we look at our surface map, we're getting into that time of year, you know, when you get these old frontal boundaries that are kind of set up all over the place. And they act as a bit of our trigger mechanism when you get the daytime heating to get our showers and thunderstorms going. So we got this old boundary here across the southeast. You got another boundary here. And we keep getting these little impulses that are coming out of the Rockies and coming into the southern plains. That's going to be kind of our trigger zone for that severe risk here for later this afternoon. Now, where we're currently seeing the heavier rains, we did have a few thunderstorms that were severe earlier today into the Dallas area, but that has since quieted down. You're seeing the storms here continue to press off toward the east. So areas toward Mount Pleasant, Longview, Tyler are going to get some heavy rains here this morning, but the trend is generally downward, and we'll see some new activity fire up here a little bit later for this afternoon as we get that daytime heating, especially late in the afternoon. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's go ahead and look at the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. I'm going to look at your day one breakdown here first as we look at that. And noticing here from basically Topeka down toward Dodge City, down toward Amarillo, down toward Midland, basically the same zones. A lot of the storm chasers were down into this zone yesterday, kind of firing up and chasing, and they're probably down in that same neighborhood again for today here with more storms anticipated. Now, we do have some marginal risk. You see that there down toward Houston, stretching back up toward Dallas, up toward Iowa as well, going up toward Milwaukee and Cedar Rapids, also getting in on the severe weather action. And we also have a marginal risk down here along the Gulf Coast as well, down toward the Carolinas. So we're talking areas from Wilmington back down toward Dublin, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, and down toward Valdosta. So we got a little bit of marginal down there, maybe just a pocket severe possible today. So the main risk we're going to focus in here is on the southern plains area. So let's look at the breakdown in categories. Now, the tornado risk is not running particularly high for today. We just got a couple of areas to kind of watch here for this afternoon. A couple of pockets here across Kansas and into portions of the Oklahoma and maybe the extreme northern portion of the Panhandle of Texas. Another little pocket down here across West Texas as well. The bigger threat's going to be the wind and hail threat for today. We had a lot of hail yesterday. And we may see that again for today. So let's look at your wind threat, obviously running about 15%. Again, running in that slight risk zone here across Kansas and back toward West Texas, running for today. And as far as the hail threat for today, that also basically running in that same general area. So no big problems there. Everywhere else is going to be in that marginal zone, basically 5%, yet you're going to see some hail in those zones. Now, as far as the day two outlook is concerned, day two just showing just a marginal risk for severe weather here. And I'll go back to the category here. Here you go. Basically from Denver going back toward Dodge City, Oklahoma City, down toward San Angelo. Just a marginal risk here, and just high winds is going to be your big thing, a big threat here. Not expecting too much tornadoes would be a problem. Just the wind threat, and that's going to be running about 5% in those zones. And there's not a day three. That's the good news there. We don't have to worry about that. Now, we'll say this. Once we get through the next couple of days, then we got to worry about next week. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the latest model data on this. So we're going to go ahead and break this down. And we're going to be looking first at the high resolution data. And we're going to be focusing on that first. And then we're going to be talking about for next week. I'll show you the European and show you my concerns on that. So let's go ahead and take this forward. Take a look at that timestamp there in that upper right-hand corner here as we kind of take you through here to the late afternoon hours. We'll stop this about 6 o'clock here as we're seeing some storms here across East Texas. We're starting to get some pretty good storms across the southeast we'll watch as well. West Texas will start to fire in this area up into Nebraska. Will also start to fire here as we go into the evening and overnight hours. So watch those storms really start to fire across Kansas. We're really firing up there by midnight here. So you can really kind of see that really getting just north of Topeka, north of St. Joseph's, and into the St. Louis area there with some pretty good hefty storms there across central Iowa as well. toward the midnight hour here as we go into the overnight period. And then we'll see another little line of storms lining up once again from Amarillo down into central Texas, almost a repeat of what we almost had this morning, again with those storms going into the overnight period, going into your Thursday. So let's go ahead and zoom this back out once again. We'll take this forward going into the day on Thursday as we go into your Thursday day. Again, you see those storms kind of flaring up as this energy is pulling out of the Rockies. A little bit of snow showing it on this as well across South Dakota and into Wyoming. Some pretty good storms there into Omaha going in toward 11 o'clock in the morning there on your Thursday. And you notice we got the scattered storm threat here across the southeast as well. And that'll continue to be a hotbed. Looks like maybe an increase in activity across the southeast as well going toward late in the afternoon. Because look what happens here as we get toward 4 or 5 o'clock here. Looks like some pretty good storms here across portions of Georgia and Alabama going toward 5 for your Thursday. So you see those storms here lining up to the east between Columbus and Macon. Some pretty good storms into northeastern Alabama as well. And pretty much scattered storms here all across the southeast going into your Thursday. And then, of course, we got the steadier rains up here toward areas of Minnesota and back toward Iowa as well for 4 or 5 o'clock heading in toward your Thursday as well. All right, let's go ahead and pull this back on out here, and we'll go ahead and take this out to the end of its run as we're going to see again that kind of continue on here with those storms across the southeast and across East Texas. And of course, by the time we get to 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll be watching these storms from Nebraska stretching all the way down into portions of North Texas. This zone will be under the gun for some pretty decent rains as well. So with all that activity kind of going on, it means we're going to have some pretty decent rainfall totals that are going to be in the offing with this system as well. So let's go ahead and pull this back out. I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to here and talk about the rainfall totals. They're going to be pretty impressive here as we look at the total rainfall here for this period. So again, looking at the total rainfall, again, you can see where the heaviest rains are going to fall, especially across portions of Kansas and into Nebraska. We can kind of highlight some of these. So like here, showing 6 inches of rain, almost 5.69 inches of rain. Here's 2.5 inches of rain. So you got some pretty good rain totals there across Kansas. Look at Texas. Texas is also going to look at some pretty good rains as well with several rounds of thunderstorms, obviously. There's one that's showing 6.5 inches of rain. Here's the one that's 4 and 6, a little 4.5 inches, 4 inches there east of Texas. So we're talking about some pretty good gully washers there. And we don't want to forget our friends here across the southeast as well, looking at some pretty good rains across metro Atlanta. How about 2 inches of rain there into Atlanta? Northeastern sections of Alabama also looking at 2 inches. It looks like the highest rain total here in Georgia, maybe 3.5 there across the areas south of Macon with the rain threat there. Notice the Northeast not looking too bad, pretty quiet up that way. And of course, down the West Coast, we continue to stay dry as well. And so those were our hot rain zones we'll be following here over the next couple of days. Now, I want to go ahead and take a look. I want to take a look at the European model here. I want to talk about next week. So you're going to see a lot of chatter out on social media. Still a little early on this, but it does appear that we're going to be in store for some pretty decent storms to kind of watch here as we're going to watch this disturbance kind of come off the West Coast and move inland. So this is what we're going to be watching going into next week. So again, watch the timestamp there as I kind of take you forward here as we go into this upcoming weekend. It's going to be this system here that we're kind of watching coming into San Francisco. It's this upper level disturbance right here that's going to be riding in here. It's going to be higher jet energy with this thing. So we got not only going to have the instability that's going to be there, we're also looking at better dynamics with this. So that means that the tornado threat, I think, will be increased with this system as it comes on inland. We probably won't know the exact firing just yet until we get a little bit closer, but watch what happens here as we head toward the 29th here. As this thing moves on inland here through the weekend. And as it comes on out here going in towards your Tuesday, that's where we got to kind of watch things here kind of erupt out. So this is going into your late in the day on Tuesday. Back that up here just a little bit here. So this is the zone we're going to watch here going into Tuesday on the 29th. So we're talking about Iowa into Wisconsin, stretching back into this zone. Again, we're looking at a pretty good jet stream that's going to be coming in, kicking on out of here. So we'll have some higher wind energy to deal with, plus the instability. So I think we'll have a higher tornado risk with these storms going into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week as this storm system moves on in. Okay, not expecting like a major outbreak of tornadoes, but we'll definitely see an uptick. We've been on the low side here for this week. Next week, definitely a better chance of seeing tornadoes as we kind of wrap up the month of wrapping up the month of April and getting ready to go into May. So watch these storms here kind of track into the southeast. This is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, and then kind of settles into the southeast. We'll have to watch that go into Wednesday again. Probably see a tornado risk continuing here. Probably lesser amount there on Wednesday compared to Tuesday. I think Tuesday's a better day, but still severe weather there across Texas, stretching back into portions of Tennessee and into Kentucky as we go into Wednesday. And this should continue to move on out toward the east. Now, we'll say this. Looks like the jet stream's really going to make a big retreat heading up toward the north as we go deeper into the month of May. And that may allow the temperatures to kind of get a little bit warm there. There's a little cold shot here coming down there across portions of New England. Look at this. Cannot believe we're still talking about snow. Look at this. This is May the 4th. Okay, now granted, this is still 282 hours out, but check this out. You're looking at a little bit of snow here, possible mix up into New York State. The never-ending winter for the Northeast continues. A little cold shot coming down there. It won't amount to much, but it's just interesting to see that we're still seeing that going into early May. And it looks like we're going to continue to see looks like a fairly active pattern here start to coming back on the 6th and 7th. We'll have to watch these storms here as we go toward the 7th. These also will have the potential for some active severe weather. There were two areas I was watching here on the long range. Obviously, the 29th being one of them, and then the 6th and 7th, we'll have to watch those as well for active severe weather. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Let's look at your climate outlook here over the next couple of weeks. So what we're going to be seeing is above normal temperatures. That's going to be the big story here across a big portion of the country, especially there across the middle sections here. Temperatures running some 10 degrees above normal in that zone. So we're talking about Missouri and into Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, parts of Georgia getting in on that with those above normal temperatures. And as we go out to days 8 through 14, that's really not going to change all that much. Still looking at above normal temperatures for a lot of the country. So we're talking about the 30th through the 6th of May with above normal temperatures. Although we got that little sliver there, below normal temperatures across West Texas. Okay, anytime you can have below normal temperatures in West Texas, I know you folks out there will definitely take it. That's for sure, as hot as it gets out there, especially going into the summer months. What about precipitation? Well, that's looking pretty active, especially here in the middle of the country. And the fact that we're showing this much activity tells me that's also our firing zone for severe weather. We got to watch that again going from the 28th through the 2nd. Remember, we got that one big storm system there coming out on the 29th we got to watch, and then another one beyond that going in toward the 6th and 7th potentially with some severe weather with that. And then you're looking at the precipitation kind of backing off a little bit, just a couple below normal pockets showing up here as we go from the 30th through the 6th across areas of the high plains and then out here on the West Coast as well as we go into the month of May. So definitely been a very, very active month of April, that is for sure. And it looks like we're going to kind of finish on a little bit of an uptick of activity going into next week. We have a little bit of severe weather today and for tomorrow, and then the tornado risk, I think, goes up for next week, and we'll have to track that very, very carefully. And gives me more opportunities to use my latest severe weather tools, which are very awesome. Glad to have those things. And we'll continue to kind of tweak that a little bit, and hopefully you get an opportunity to check that out. Now, if you're not yet a subscriber here on the channel and you'd like to get these daily reports as part of your weather feed, again, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, if you appreciate what you see with this report, please leave me a comment, leave me a thumbs up. It does help with that almighty YouTube algorithm. All right, that's y'all's update for now. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.